This video is a part 2 to this video, so go see the first one if you haven't. Porn addict humor. People might find porn addict humor silly and innocent, but it's kind of just a cop-out for truly how down bad we've become. Think about how many times you've seen a meme where it's a porn animation at first, and then it's a bait and switch with Senator Armstrong or Virgil from Devil May Cry. But then you get a bunch of people in the comments going, sauce? Like, oh, haha, goofy, instead of saying source, they're saying sauce. You're not kidding anyone. What you really mean is, I need this link because I'm trying to get off to this. There was literally a moment I was on YouTube and my feed was just inundated with constant big-breasted animations and all the comments going, Booba, we meet again, men of culture. Sure, these animators are incredibly talented, and I get that NSFW content makes a lot of money, hence why people do it. Sex sells, it always has, and NSFW creators, as we know, make a lot of money. You know, safe for work art doesn't get nearly as much attention as the R34 that pops up at 0.2 seconds after a new character is revealed. But at what point does it stop being entertainment and start becoming overstimulating? I remember one of those animators posted to his story that he was in his mid-20s and has never been in an intimate relationship. Now, I'm not dogging on him or anybody else, but I'm wondering how many people are just deeply entrenched within this cycle. It's everywhere now. Anything slightly suggestive, like take for instance the tongue, the body part. It's labeled as freaky because it's associated with giving a fellatio. A large amount of white liquid of no context? Oh, it must be cum because I'm so dirty-minded. Gooning and edging are just two of many silly little sex words we use because sex jokes make everybody giggle a little bit. There are many things we can add a sexual context to and suddenly it's humor. We package it as humor and it makes sense because people like sex and people want to talk about sex. There are a lot of scenarios where it's not appropriate to mention it, especially if you live in a conservative place. So a place like the internet where you have free speech, people go crazy. The floodgates are just open, and then you see this flood of sexually suggestive speech and memes, etc. because just at a crazy amount because you have free will, obviously. At some point, doesn't it just show how desensitized we've become? There's a point to where jokes become stale. It's like hearing that one popular song in every single store and it just becomes white noise. If people cover up their porn addictions with jokes, suddenly it's justified to be a porn addict. An alternative to porn addict humor. The solution to any problem starts with addressing it, obviously. I was made aware of porn addict humor's existence by people in Instagram comments calling it out. This was a foreign concept to me before I saw all these sex jokes as normal, like it's a Vivzy Pop animation. And again, it's social media that has spread this humor like wildfire, as you know, social media connects us all. People see a relatable horny post, they engage with it, and in turn, the algorithm pushes it to more people. The more engagement they get, the more they flood everybody's feeds. And at some point, it stops becoming this one-off funny joke, and it just becomes part of culture because nobody's questioning it. And look, I'm not trying to be the fun police here. I know humor is a great way to cope with shitty situations, but I think porn addict humor is making the situation worse. Instead of people laughing through a problem, it's just reinforcing their bad habits. I'm assuming people don't like to be a slave to their own sexuality. It's not as innocent as it seems because it's being used as a shield for an issue that is actively ruining people's lives. We're all funny and creative people here on the internet, so I think we can think of more interesting things to joke about than Amy Schumer level mud vagina jokes because they are one and the same. Instead of joking about our issues, I think we should actively start trying to combat them. Broader sex and porn addiction. OnlyFans may be the face of parasocial lust, but let's talk about porn addiction as a whole, even if you're not paying for a parasocial relationship. From a strictly biological standpoint, your body exists to reproduce, pass on favorable genes, then die. I know nature is cruel. That's how animals survive. They mate, ensuring the continuation of their species. They're basically just hosts for their genes. But humans, we've deviated away from this more than any other species. For many of us, reproduction is now far from a priority. And I mean, in this economy, can you really blame anyone? We invented contraception, which completely removes sex from its original purpose, and that's completely fine. In a healthy relationship, there's nothing wrong with feeling pleasure of your partner. The problem arises when people are getting hooked on sexual stimuli that their brains were never equipped to handle. I mean, we literally created the breeding kink where we've managed to fetishize impregnation. Also, despite what you think, the breeding kink is not a normal human instinct. People get each other pregnant because, they love each other and they want to add more to their family. The breeding kink is just a fetishization of that process where they just see the process of impregnating somebody gives them sexual gratification. But you're not in the wrong, obviously, if that shit is pissing you off. It pisses me off too. It started with adult theaters and Playboy magazines, but porn in this day and age you can just find with a Google search. Our ancient human ancestors never had any access to this sexual material. You know that hoax where that isolated tribe in the Amazon got access to the internet through Starlink and thus developing pornography addictions? I would think that's real. Everything's so hypersexualized that you just get trapped in that self-perpetuating cycle. You first get exposed to porn, which oftentimes happens at a young age, and we know the psychological effects of that. You climax, you get that dopamine rush. But that rush is temporary, and it fades. So you need to seek out more extreme material to feel something again. That's when you hit a wall and nothing satisfies you anymore, you feel guilty, and you try to quit. But porn and other sexual stimuli is just very prevalent in a lot of places, so it makes it hard to do so. Like, it's impossible to use Instagram right now to send your friends a couple of funny reels without seeing an ad using a Down syndrome filter to promote an OnlyFans. It's like handing a recovering alcoholic a six-pack. It's a vicious cycle, rinse and repeat. There's the nofap cult people who cut out porn and masturbation, but it doesn't actually fix the sexual frustration. It just creates another cycle of repression without addressing the root cause of the problem. It is quite literally, if you're homeless, just buy a house. And then you have on the other extreme people who've completely succumbed to their addictions. I have had the great misfortune of stumbling across the subreddit Goon Caves, where people have porn plastered across multiple screens and projectors like a shrine to their own self-destruction. Do not go there, it is absolutely disgusting. It is the same few dudes, and it's multiple screens, multiple monitors, of them in their rooms pleasuring themselves. I don't understand how they do it. Porn addiction often leads to the death grip syndrome phenomenon, where you overstimulate your brain so much to the point that real life intimacy no longer excites you. You struggle to find your partner to be attractive anymore. It feels like being in bed trying to bang an overgrown slab of greasy spam pork. With porn, you start subconsciously comparing your partner to what you see of the porn stars on screen. The more of it you watch, the more your real life partner seems less exciting in comparison. And sex addiction isn't any better than porn addiction, it's actually worse. You see your partner as merely a tool to relieve your sexual urges. Even if you love them, you'll end up treating them like an object instead of a person, putting them through more extreme sexual shit to keep things interesting, and you do it subconsciously. They often go along with it because they want to remain being loved by you. The result is the same regardless of whatever camp somebody falls in. People's relationships and their brains are being destroyed. An alternative to sex and porn addiction. I said this before in the porn addict humor section, but the first step to addressing a problem is admitting that there is a problem. Do you want to keep living in this filth with your sex or porn addiction? Acknowledge that it's ruining your mental health, your relationships, and your self-worth. And I'm not some ultra-conservative, orthodox, religious bigot over here to police everybody's genitals. I want them to do it themselves. Have some self-control. Also, trying to suppress people sexually without education or guidance just turns them into deviants when they gain the freedom. And parents refusing to have the birds and the bees talk are part of the problem. Parenting keeps on coming up under lust, but it will come up under sloth too, under the responsibility section. Parents think avoiding the subject keeps their children pure and that God will handle it, but it forces them to learn it through other degenerate ways, like porn. Instead of people understanding intimacy through a real human connection, they're understanding it through a hypersexualized artificial lens that's designed to exploit their dopamine systems. And obviously, when parents fail to do their jobs, social media seems to fill its gaps, and then you have a generation raised on these cringy-ass thirst traps and other, again, degenerate things. The result of this is people being unable to form emotional connections because their brains have been rewired for these unrealistic expectations, constant stimulation, and instant gratification. Again, I think nofap is a sham. I don't think anybody should completely abstain from sex and masturbation, but I think porn can we could do without porn. We could just do without it. You just realize once you stop watching it how much it's fucked up your brain and how much your life is better without it. Just like social media. It just provides no benefit. It's a net negative to you. If you're masturbating daily, there's a problem. If sex has lost its excitement and you're seeking out more extreme material, that's also a problem. If you're using sex as an escape and your partner isn't enjoying it, they're probably going along with it out of fear that you'll probably go get it somewhere else. I said this before, but how can you trust somebody consumed so much by their own horniness they have no control over themselves? That is a massive red flag. You're placing your burden onto somebody else, and that is pretty selfish, don't you think? We also need to limit the overexposure to sexual material in media. Songs, movie, TV, and of course, social media. It's like one big porn slop trend to where people are being rewarded for creating the most low effort, grotesque sexual shit, and they're being rewarded for it. Do you people really like listening to Sexy Red or any other female rapper going titties, booty shaking? And then you have Twitch and Instagram, which are both 13 plus platforms and are part of the reason these addictions start. You know how many OF creators are on both platforms, and we know the linking of porn at a young age to long-term psychological damage. You know that post-nut clarity feeling of deep self-loathing, guilt, and the lack of motivation? You know when you're watching an explicit video and the screen turns black, reflecting your greasy face? If you've ever been addicted to porn or overindulging in sex, real intimacy stops being exciting. You know, the thing your brain was designed for. You don't feel closer to somebody, you just hate yourself, and yet you keep on returning to doing the exact same thing in a self-perpetuating cycle. You notice how I'm repeating the same point over and over again? Because it's insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again, and there's no outlet, there's no escape from it, unless you want to change it. This is an addiction, and it's an epidemic. I know, because I've been there, my friends have been there, and so many people have been there, so that's why I'm writing this video essay and talking about this. I've replaced something that made me self-loathe with something that's giving me a sense of accomplishment. I am very happy to right now not just be mindlessly beating my meat. People struggling with addictions find it hard to do things other than feeding their own addictions. If you don't know what you enjoy other than feeding your own desires, just go take a walk in the park on a windy day, and instead of letting yourself just be lost to this artificial pleasure, just let yourself think for a bit. Do one of the many things you enjoy that are non-sexual. With sex and masturbation, let's have self-imposed limits on them so that they feel good again. And porn, I think we should phase that out completely because it's, again, an entirely net negative. While I don't believe in banning it legally because of the implications that has, I don't think we should keep feeding an industry that we already know is super exploitative. The more people who've consumed it, the more extreme and degrading we've seen it become. We can boycott this by exercising self-discipline. Cut down on the amount of nonsense that you're consuming. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been wasted doing exactly this that has not benefited you in any single way? How much of your life have you spent chasing an empty high? Think about, what can I be doing now that's constructive? Because the cum-stained carpet that we're all living on kind of smells bad at this point. It's time to clean up our act, and if you don't like hearing it, you could look at yourself in the mirror. You could tell yourself it's okay to keep living in this filth, or it's time to step up and just fix myself. There are tons of people who are probably willing and able to help you, but the choice is ultimately yours alone. And for our final section of lust, we have AI degeneracy. We all love hearing about that internet fury, but with AI, you're not pursuing a connection of a human being at all. You're pursuing a connection of silicone, rare earth metals, etc. You know that imaginary friend you had growing up? Well, now he's real! It's ChatGPT, my pal, never complains, listens to whenever I have to say anything. My best friend! You don't even have to commission your NSFW drawings or animations anymore because AI will make it for you and for free! I've literally come across multiple thirst trap accounts of AI generated women, completely AI generated, and there are still people thirsting over them thinking they're real. Those women aren't real, and you can see the deformities when people are so consumed that they can't recognize basic human anatomy. It really makes you doubt the future. We've come to a level of objectification of AI where we can create AI girlfriends or boyfriends with features that sexually excite us or please us, while we can tolerate all the other nonsense associated with a relationship. You know, why speak to a real man or a woman when their AI waifu or husbando looks exactly the way you would like and speaks to you exactly the way you would like? AI doesn't have moral or legal boundaries either. We've obviously seen CSAM material coming from AI, and we've also seen deepfake revenge porn, which is a major concern. For the former of the two, countries like South Korea made strict laws banning that type of content, and thousands of girls literally had to remove their photos from online out of fear of being put in AI deepfake scenarios. It's a really scary world we live in, don't we? And now that AI deepfake revenge porn scenario has played out multiple times due to how accessible it is, you don't even need to go into Photoshop to manually do it to ruin somebody's lives, putting them in porn. For the latter of the two, we have people trying to justify it, saying, oh, they're preying on AI-generated children, not real ones, so thus, it's acceptable. It is beyond me why that was a position people even took. It was made real illegal content the second it was generated. People didn't even like anime lollies, a thing resembling a child in a sexual context. Imagine a photorealistic version of that and saying it's okay for somebody to use that for nefarious purposes. I will reiterate it again, but anybody who has a sexual attraction to minors, go seek mental help before you act upon your impulses. This type of content is equally as bad as any other illegal content, and the more we normalize this, the more we put actual kids in harm's way. AI is just another tool like the gun or an internet. They are neutral tools that can be used for good or evil depending on the human being using them. An alternative to AI degeneracy. AI's advancement cannot be stopped. That's a reality we have to face. We can't erase technology, but we can learn to adapt to it so that society doesn't collapse. Again, I said it before, but AI is a tool just like the gun and the internet, and it's humans who've chosen to weaponize it. If you're somebody who likes to post their face online like me, and especially if you're a woman, do so at your own risk. All it takes is one single selfie to potentially ruin your life. It's like trying to dodge an arrow that's 100% accurate and it's invisible some of the times because you could be deep faked right now and you don't even know about it. You can maybe counterattack after it hits already, you can file criminal charges or a civil lawsuit, but it doesn't change the fact that you already deep faked and somebody spread that image of you. At its worst, AI has created reputation destroying images and other flat out illegal content. But it's also pushed artificial intimacy to its final form. Again, are the consequences we have to deal with this new technology. The worst people in society are already abusing this. Law enforcement can't monitor every single case of abuse that's already happened. It's dangerous and unavoidable, but we can at least do something. We should first try to decrease the amount of disturbed individuals by fostering a less toxic community. This world can be an absolute shithole that's completely impossible to detoxify. Horrible people will always exist, but one less person being an asshole inspires other people to not be assholes, so just don't be an asshole. If you've seen the most toxic communities online, you would know they engage in this type of behavior, so let's not feed them new members. But when it comes to the artificial intimacy aspect of AI, everything I've said before applies. I won't keep repeating that. Though people need to realize AI is like a sentient book. You ask it for something and it provides you information. Any AI girlfriend or boyfriend you might have is selling you an illusion. You are not talking to a human being. It will never love you back. It does not feel, it's only doing what it was designed to do. I get it, people do it out of desperation to feel like somebody's listening to them, but you gotta realize when you're going to AI for a companionship, things have gotten way out of hand. Any human option is better, even if it's just a friendly stranger in an online Yu-Gi-Oh community. Not everyone is out to get you. Some actually care about you, which AI doesn't. If it's a scary world out there, just know somebody out there will always have your back. If we treat people like human beings, people are less likely to act in inhumane ways. My personal experience with lust. In my experience of lust, I feel like everybody can relate to that feeling where you're like Denji from Chainsaw Man and you're a slave to your own sexuality. Like, I have this Catholic friend who has this constant internal struggle thinking that if he masturbates, he's going to be condemned to hell, and he's been told that at confession by the priest and such. So it's just like, even out of the fear of going to hell, he can't help himself. Like, I find it easy, me personally, I find it easy to quit porn, but something happens, like my breakup which just happens, and then I'm feeling lonely, and then I go back to it, and it's just a vicious cycle that I've been talking about for this entire video. I mean, I shouldn't be the one to shame others for subscribing to OnlyFans because I have fallen victim to honeypot trap slash romance scam, if you know what that is. Like the Gunnar me lost brain cells at the sight of large breasts. I literally sent this scammer the picture of the front of my license and I sent them $50. But I realized I was a moron when they asked for the back of my license and I bailed. Also, regrettably, I did something cringe as hell where I became that "where's my hug at" guy. I asked a girl I liked for a hug. She said no, and I apologized for making her uncomfortable, and we don't have beef to this day, but it still makes me cringe. I mean, I like this girl personality-wise, but I would be lying out of my teeth if I said I was not ogling her. It makes me a hypocrite because I get uncomfortable when somebody's speaking about another person in a sexual way behind their back, yet I am doing that exact same thing but in my mind. It was probably a good thing for both her and me that she did not reciprocate feelings towards me. And if she did, I probably scared her off. I was also exposed to porn at an extremely young age. I was downloading porn pictures onto my 3DS when I was in 3rd grade, and my sister opened my 3DS one time and asked me why I had a bunch of pictures of naked women on my 3DS, and I just panicked and cried and said that other kids were downloading it onto my 3DS, and she believed me. I found out what porn was because of a book called TTYL, and if you don't know what TTYL is, it is one of the most banned books because of what is talked about inside of it. One of my sisters had this book, and I saw the cover and I thought it was interesting because of the emojis and the texting lingo. In one of the passages, one of the girls in the book complains about guys watching porn. And so then I googled it and then I went to images and saw all of it. A lot worse has happened with porn when I was a kid due to how accessible it is, but I'm not here to trauma dump. By the time I entered middle school, literally every other kid had seen porn by then and was talking about it. I remember coming home one time and playing Skyrim with all the Lovers Lab mods, which are very inappropriate, and my mom coming into my room and me closing my tabs in a hurry, and then my mom drilling me why I closed my tabs. Even now, I lost my virginity around a year ago to my ex, and I could not find her attractive because what I was seeing in porn had literally destroyed my brain. I just know what the effects of porn is on the brain, and I feel like my brain has been damaged in irreversible ways that I'm scared of, but I'm gonna choose to think with my brain, not my penis, bro. But like lust and hypersexuality in today's age are just such a prevalent issue that I don't feel like enough people are talking about or bringing it attention to. It is seriously a problem that I think we need to start addressing.